Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are certainly not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. Yours truly at the helm, the Exceptional One, Kim McClinton. Well, actually, tonight is really New Day Black and Red. And it's Thursday night, of course. And on this particular night, normally the professor, Dr. Michael Jones, joins me. Mary, I missed you all too. I want to thank the great Melanie Collette for sitting in for me last night. I thought she did a wonderful job. And I was very pleased with her performance. She did a wonderful, wonderful job. God bless her. And her work on Money Talk with Melanie is just tremendous, absolutely tremendous. Yeah, she did very well. And I had an opportunity to listen to the second half of the program, upon which she performed. She did a wonderful job with Ralph, did a wonderful job with Shannon. I missed the interview with Lonnie, and I missed the interview with Candy, but I'm quite certain they were equally tremendous. Ladies and gentlemen, like I was stating before, normally on Thursday nights when we have the good doctor with us, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor at undergroundprofessor.us. New Day Black and Red is in its full capacity. Tonight we won't be. The professor is still recovering from pneumonia. So he left the peon in chief in charge this particular evening, and we will talk about Venezuela and as well socialism. The story that you're not hearing right now in America. And the story is very simple. Socialism doesn't work, and wherever it is applied, it has a crushing charge. It is a very destructive force, destroying individuals' rights, family dominion, destroying free education in the sense of pursuit of the individual, as well as the economy is stifled. You're looking at government corruption out the gang, and then on top of all of that, a converting to religions that boast liberation but really entrench individuals under the strong foothold of dictators. Faith is lost. So tonight we're going to talk about Venezuela, and I hope in a capacity that you might appreciate. Venezuela, will U.S. voters learn that even Socialism-Lite is a threat to the American way? We're going to talk about what the American way is, and we're going to broaden that in comparison to what's happening in Latin America. Ladies and gentlemen, I just also I can't get over the fact she did a wonderful job last night. Melanie Collette, excellent job. You all should be listening to her Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on our network, TECN. You can go to TECN Midday and listen to her. She does a wonderful, wonderful job. Like I was saying before, I want to digress back to a point before we allow the kids to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. My very good friends, Dr. Michael Jones, and as well Dan the Man Butcher, are in need of our prayers this evening. Dan fell unconscious during the course of his radio program today. And you all know Dan is one of the hardest working men. I always jest with him that Jane, his wife, does all the hard work, but really Dan's one of the hardest working men in radio. And tremendous believer of Christ, a wonderful protector of the Constitution through the First Amendment, exhibiting the most kernel understanding of what a father is and what a good husband is. Dan is a brilliant marketer and a great broadcaster and a better friend. Uh, all that is to say that before we allow the kids to say the Pledge of Allegiance, I want us to pray for both my very good friend, Dr. Michael Jones, who is recovering from pneumonia. Hopefully, he'll be back with us next week. I will make a determination as to whether he's healthy enough to come on the air. I know his spirit. I know the professor's spirit. The professor was trying to cough to me today that he was ready to go. He misses radio, and he misses you all. He misses Mary. And I know we want to get him back, but we want to get him back well, and we want to get him back strong. Lord Jesus, I ask right now that you bless the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart. May they be acceptable in your sight. I ask right now, Lord God, for the forgiveness of my sins and my transgressions against you. I want there to be a clean heart. I want there to be a clean slate. I want there to be an open conversation between us, Lord God. Because I know your word, and your word clearly states that healing is the children's bread. I want nothing that I've done to separate me from you, especially in encouraging you, Lord, to take care of my two good friends and their families. Lord God, I ask right now that you remove the bacteria that is causing the infection on the lung of my very good friend, Dr. Michael Jones. Lord God, I know what your will is. Your will is for us to be in perfect health and with our mind stayed on you. I ask you right now, Father God, to touch his heart, to touch his mind, to touch his soul, Father God, to inspire him, to encourage him, to lift him up, to heal his body and make him whole. Whatever thy will is, Father God, let it be done. And Lord God, I ask you right now, on behalf of the Butcher family, that you surround them, Father God, with your ever-present love and tenderness and affections. That you comfort them, Father God, and meet every need that they have. I ask you right now, Father God, to strengthen Dan Butcher. Where he needs rest, Lord God, provide him the avenue and the opportunity to rest. Where he is in need of healing, Father God, provide the hands, the thoughts, Father God, and the prayers to make that happen. And Lord God, whatever their family needs, I pray right now that you use us as a vessel, as well as for the Dr. Michael Jones, to meet their need according to your precious will. We thank you, Lord God, for you being God, and for giving us the Holy Spirit that we can recognize God in all of us. I ask you right now, Father God, to bless us as we go through this particular radio program. And Lord God, lead us and guide us in your truth. In the matchless name of Jesus Christ, we say amen. All right, so we're praying right now that the professor will be strong, that there will be no hindrances as well. Dan the Man Butcher, we want them to come back and we want them to be strong. Before we go to break, let the kids lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Take it away, kids. Put right hand over your hearts.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Love it when the children lead us. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with more of the best of Urban Conservative Talk. It is New Day Black and Red. It is Thursday in the nation's capital. Let's get ready.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who save $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to LendingTree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
I thought you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Someone is sleeping on the couch tonight.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books, only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first, before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your ChristianBook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at ChristianBook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to ChristianBook.com ebooks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ken McClinton, the Exceptional One. Glad to have you here on New Day Black and Red, a program that's geared to give you both a spiritual as well as a constitutional viewpoint on the affairs of state today. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a look tonight at what coveting is really about. In the latter quarter of our program, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about covetousness. And at the heart, the true heart of socialism, the greatest thing that's being coveted is your sovereign will. The will that your Father in heaven created in you and gave to you. Now, the world wants to take it from you. Wherever there is an assault against freedom and against liberty, TECN will be there. Tonight, Senator Marco Rubio, on his Senate floor speech, talking about Venezuela, a story that has been markedly overwhelmed by the left's, or at least the American left's, great passion for a story of no account regarding Russia's influence on the election. And as well, the press release or press notification that James Comey was fired this week. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something going on to the south of us, and it's really hellacious. I want to turn now to Senator Marco Rubio.
With senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I rise to speak briefly this afternoon on the ongoing crisis in Venezuela. There's a growing interest in the matter here among my colleagues in the Senate and in the White House and in other places, certainly in the press, and thankfully so. This has been going on now for a significant period of time. Just to put it into context, a lot of times when we talk about these sort of showdowns around the world, these sorts of internal strife, there's this notion that there's this government in place, and then there's this group that doesn't like the government, and they're arguing with each other about the future of the country. What's interesting in Venezuela is that both the opposition and the ruling party are in government. The government, obviously, in the presidential level, is controlled by someone who's turned himself into a dictator. He is a successor of Hugo Chavez. He's the president, Nicolas Maduro. and those who surround him. And then there is the National Assembly, elected by the people of Venezuela, the majority party in their legislative branch. And what has happened over the last year and a half is the president of Venezuela, Maduro, the now dictator, has nullified the legislative branch. He basically refuses to recognize the laws they pass, stopped allowing transfers. So basically, the National Assembly in Venezuela today, they're not getting paid. They have no funds for offices. They have no funds for material. And they'll pass a law, and those laws are ignored. And that is the ongoing crisis. The second part of it is that under their constitution, the Constitution of Venezuela, if you collected a certain number of signatures by December of this year, by the end of the year, they had to hold a referendum on the president, a recall referendum. They refused to certify the signatures, even though the people who collected them turned in 4 times as many signatures that was necessary. The third is they're supposed to have governor and legislative elections this year in Venezuela. Maduro has canceled those. And there is no telling, but it doesn't seem like they're going to have a presidential election either. Here's the bottom line. The strife in Venezuela that's going on today can be solved by an election of the people of Venezuela, by basically following their existing constitution. But that's not what they've allowed to have happen. And on the contrary, not only are they not allowing these elections to happen, but anyone who protests against it has been jailed, press kicked out of the country. CNN's been kicked out of Venezuela as an example. And now we're seeing reports of this escalating violence in the street. And it's
Escalating violence in the streets, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make it abundantly clear to you that those who are on the left, those who are Marxists, those who are socialists, have no disdain for a constitution. You see, for the aristocrats and for others who have the elitists in the ivory towers at some of the better universities, the only thing that matters is the talented 10th. Rubio makes it abundantly clear in his speaking on the floor of the U.S. Senate that the people themselves should have a choice. The people themselves have a choice. And yet, there are those who are in high places who have made it abundantly clear that while on paper you may have rights, we have the authority to take it from you. We have the authority of a military. We have the authority of collective control of the economy. We have control through the control of your educational outcomes. We have control through, my friends, your churches. We have control of your families. And guess what? We have control of you. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're watching in Venezuela is a breakdown of constitutional law. Notice even those who are the heaviest proponents of the First Amendment here are not reporting to the fact or not focusing to the fact that the First Amendment doesn't apply down there. The freedom of speech is gone. The press have been thrown out. And a dictator has taken rule. Well, what is the cost of dictatorship? What is the harvest that's been promised by those on the left? Because they promised us that if we would just collectively work together, there'd be no issues. There'd be no problems.
their existing constitution. But that's not what they've allowed to have happen. And on the contrary, not only are they not allowing these elections to happen, but anyone who protests against it has been jailed, press kicked out of the country. CNN's been kicked out of Venezuela as an example. And now we're seeing reports of this escalating violence in the street, and it's extraordinary. And so what's interesting, though, is that fissures are beginning to develop. And the message we send here today, first of all, to those who are in the street fighting for democracy and for following the law and elections in Venezuela, is that we stand with you and we'll never let your cause fall, and we'll never accept these ridiculous moves that Maduro is now doing to rewrite the Constitution yet again through a flawed and fraudulent process. But the second message we have is to the people in the Venezuelan government who do not want to be a part of what's happening. We see now examples, for example, of the Attorney General, Luisa Ortega, who is part of the Maduro government, has been largely friendly, but lately has begun to break away from the government, going as far as to criticize the government's escalating repression. You see it increasingly among the rank and file in the National Guard in Venezuela, who are all armored up like G.I. Joe, facing down these unarmed protesters. But on the other side of the protests are their mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters, their wives, their husbands, and their friends and neighbors. And what's really troubling now is these armed groups, irregular groups, these militias that Maduro has armed and trained with the help of Cuban intelligence have spun completely out of control. These groups are going around randomly beating people up, setting up roadblocks, committing all sorts of acts of violence. These are not uniformed. These are collectives, as they call them, basically these armed militias outside of the government, funded, created by Maduro, who have now begun to spin out of control, even to the point where they themselves, I believe, are potentially threatened. But
I want you to pay attention to what Rubio just said. And I don't like to lead people on. I love people to, meditate on certain things and through the process of reasoning come to an elucidation. But I want to ask you, are you noting what that government agency is doing in Venezuela under Maduro? They are funding little resistance groups who are pro-socialism, pro-Marxism. They don't believe Maduro is strong enough. He hasn't gone too far. So he's funded these little groups of protesters. I hope y'all hear me. And those little groups are going around the country terrorizing other folks. Now, I know for a fact in America, that couldn't possibly happen. You couldn't possibly have a government official meeting with a revolutionary resistance group, especially at the White House. You couldn't possibly have that in America. A group of people that would actually burn down a city. A group of people that actually would prevent people from getting on airplanes and getting to where they need to be by shutting down airports, shutting down cities. That couldn't possibly happen here in America now, could it? Dave Miller says, that's a mistake leftists make all the time, Ken. They're like Muslims. They figure it can work if only government is left enough. Maduro has figured it out. George Soros has figured it out. Barack Obama has figured it out. And yet we still have those on the right and even the alt-right that do not understand what is happening in Venezuela and how what is happening in Venezuela should be used in dealing with the issues here in the state. I want you all to understand that even Socialism-Lite is a threat to the American way.
by these groups, who, in addition to funding themselves through the government, have found other ways to fund themselves through illicit means, including street crime. This situation is reaching a breakpoint. And I think it's an important moment to remind the men and women in uniform in the National Guard of Venezuela that their job is to protect the people of Venezuela, not to oppress them. That their job is to protect and uphold the Constitution of that country, not to cancel it out. To remind them that the men and women on the other side of these protests are their family, their fellow Venezuelans. Now the time has come for men and women in the Venezuelan government, many who perhaps sympathize with Hugo Chavez and Maduro up to a point, that they do not want to go down with this ship, that they do not want to wind up on the list of people who participated in this crackdown and in this oppression. And I hope that my colleagues here will continue to work hard. I'm encouraged by the amount of bipartisan support that we've begun to create on the issue of Venezuela. I know my colleague Senator Cardin and I have worked out bipartisan legislation that urges the Maduro regime to release all its political prisoners and expresses support for a solution to the crisis. I urge all my colleagues to join me in co-signing this bipartisan legislation. We also support the administration's efforts at the OAS to continue to work with regional governments in Argentina and Colombia, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and others who have taken heed of this issue and have played an extraordinary leadership role in raising this in international forums. And beyond that, I would encourage the administration to continue to look for names to sanction. They have the authority under the law, passed not once but twice by this Congress, that allows them to identify specific individuals within the Venezuelan government who are stealing the money of the Venezuelan people and committing grotesque human rights violations and have real estate and other personal property and cash deposits in bank accounts around the world from what they have illicitly stolen from the people of Venezuela.
Whoa. Well, excuse me, Marco, are you accusing socialists of theft? Are you saying that they would actually steal people's 401ks, investments, personal property, are you saying, sir, that that's what they do?
Forums. And beyond that, I would encourage the administration to continue to look for names to sanction. They have the authority under the law, passed not once but twice by this Congress, that allows them to identify specific individuals within the Venezuelan government who are stealing the money of the Venezuelan people and committing grotesque human rights violations and have real estate and other personal property and cash deposits in bank accounts around the world from what they have illicitly stolen from the people of Venezuela. And here's my closing point. The government of Maduro is now relying on credit from all parts of the world in order to continue to sustain itself. I strongly urge.
I want you to understand what he just said. When we move from the gold standard to a debt-laden system of supporting investments around the world, you have a Venezuela, a republic that is flush with oil and other natural resources. However, sustenance is not there for them. Ladies and gentlemen, who supports socialism? Many of us will say, well, it's those people down there that support it. But Rubio is making a point here, and I think you need to listen. Our banking system, our investment systems, everyone that's attempting to capitalize in nation, let me let you know there's nothing wrong with capitalism. I believe in it firmly. I believe in free markets. But what is propping up right now that institution? What is propping up that government? What is propping up that government are investors around the world. You shut off the pipeline and watch what happens.
Any private investment banks, any of these large global banks who are thinking about lending money to Venezuela, you are abetting this regime and its repression. And you will be singled out and named if you participate in continuing to lend them money to fund this. To the Russian government, I say, you're not going to get your money back. These guys cannot pay you back. The same for the Chinese government. You continue to lend money to the Maduro regime, they will not be able to pay you back, and you're going to be embarrassed. The Chinese government is going to be embarrassed if they continue to loan money to Venezuela that they cannot and will never pay you back. And the Russians cannot afford to continue to lend money to a government that will not pay them back either. And so I urge them to look at that very carefully before they continue to embarrass themselves by lending out their people's money that they will never get back. This is an important issue. It's in our own hemisphere. And the answer lies one election away. If only the Maduro regime would follow its laws and its constitution, Venezuela would be on a better path that its people would choose.
If only. But if you know the hearts of those who are in governance under a dictatorship, their heart is not for the people, their heart is for the control of the people. Dave Milner wrote earlier in our chat room, socialism is theft. They're going beyond wealth redistribution to wealth confiscation. And I want you to understand something here as we begin to talk about welfare reform and repealing Obamacare and tax reform and infrastructure spending. I want you to understand that there are those who are in government, Republican and Democrat, who have no problem with socialism-lite. There are so many things in our government right now that are so untouchable that you can't do anything with removing government from intervening in the lives of people. Is the hope of Venezuela our hope?
In the alternative, this situation will continue to spiral out of control. And we in this chamber, in this country, will continue to be on the side of the men and women who seek nothing but democracy and seek nothing but peace and reconciliation and a way forward for this nation, which has a deep history of democratic order. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Marco Rubio. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that there is a crisis in Venezuela. And I want to take these few moments that I have left, and I want to play a cut for you. I want you to understand what's happening in Venezuela, because there are those here in America that do not want you to know the chaos that's going on. How many of you all knew that CNN was tossed out?
Video capturing an armored carrier mowing down demonstrators in the streets of the capital city, Caracas, Wednesday, as riot police fired tear gas into the crowd. Among those run over was 22-year-old Pedro Michael Yamin. He was rushed to the hospital with multiple fractures and collapsed lungs, but he did survive. Yamini is one of the many protesters demanding reform as socialist President Nicolas Maduro tries to consolidate power by changing the country's constitution. More than 30 people have been killed since the beginning of April, including 18-year-old Armando Canizales, a violinist with Venezuela's symphony orchestra. Freelance journalist Stefano Posiban joins me now live on the phone from Caracas. And Stefano, what's the latest on the ground where you are?
The latest here is that today Caracas is quiet and can actually focus on the most dramatic crisis that is affecting everyday Venezuela. Because let's not forget that amid the chaos caused by the protest on the street, Venezuela still has to come up with the most difficult living conditions of recent history. Venezuela is in shortage of basic goods. And according to one of the recent figures by a survey of independent scientists, 3 out of 4 Venezuelans are losing weight this year. So the
3 out of 4 Venezuelans are losing weight. If any of you grew up in the time period that I grew up in, and they showed you the pictures of people in Africa with the swelled bellies, broken, scrawny, skinned individuals, they would show those pictures to you so that you would fund their nonprofit or non-governmental organization so that they could take that money and feed the poor. Ladies and gentlemen, as oil rich as Venezuela is, they have a government that does not mind starving its people. That, my friends, is socialism at work. We'll be right back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. You're listening to New Day Black and Red, live from the nation's capital. I happen to be your host, the exceptional one, Kevin Clinton, and we will be right back.
I'm David Longoria, trumpeter and singer. Join me Saturday, May 20th as we celebrate the 19th annual White House Day of Prayer. We will join together for prayer and uplifting and leave our politics behind. There will be leaders from across the country as well as artists singing and praying together for our people, our nation, and our leaders. I will be joined by a 1,000 voices choir as we perform my new song of unity, We Are One. Come to the White House lawn in the Ellipse Park, Saturday, May 20th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Register now online for free at whitehouseprayer.org.
You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
Begin your mornings the right way with some right thinking from me, Perry Drake, your friendly neighborhood drive-by pundit. I want you to join me every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Central Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network. From politics to pop culture to relationships to whatever else is on your mind, we have a great deal to talk about. Join in and let's get the talking started.
Good morning.
I'm Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Okay, folks, that's not how it goes. I think I'm Shannon, and you're
so.
Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. We are The Right Way with Shannon and Mike.
Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Live on SHR Media.
And on TECN.
Where we'll be talking about all kinds of things.
From sports and politics.
To food and entertainment.
To money.
Family.
And anything else in between.
Community, holidays, all kinds of things.
It'll be great. Join us from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hello, this is Leslie Ann Stokely with The Real Clear Israel. Join me every Sunday morning at 10:05 Eastern Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network, where we'll be discussing Israel with guests from Israel and around the world.
That's The Real Clear Israel, 10:05 Sunday on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
I'm Ken McClinton, chairman of the Exceptional Conservative Network. Never has the cry for economic liberty been more resounding in urban America than on Election Day 2016. It's the economy. All real change begins with the American entrepreneur. Socialism did not work. Progressivism stole the wealth of individuals and families. You voted for something different. Real change. But what does real change look and sound like? It looks like Las Vegas, and it sounds like Freedom Fest 10. Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds, is the popular liberty-minded conference at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas from July 19th to the 22nd. Hear the voices of the urban freedom movement. Janine Borelli, Larry Elder, Gina Lofton, Helen Riley, Juan Pablo Arande, and Zayad Abdelnour. Share ideas with powerful liberty movement figures like Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Anthony Scaramucci, Jennifer Grossman, Naomi Brockwell, Denise D'Souza, John Stasser, Lisa Kennedy, Peter Schiff, and our keynote speaker this year, William Shatner. Your money, your liberty, your freedom, your city. Come for the real and return with the change. Register now at Freedom Fest for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all caps code TECN. We'll see you there. Freedom Fest 10.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies, anytime, any place. how we've done business since 1939. Brownells.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the new day, Black and Red, on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Want to also thank the very good people at Red Nation Rising and SHR Media for carrying us live on their networks. We really, really appreciate it greatly. And as well, want to give a shout out to BZ, the Bloviating Zeppelin, tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 p.m. on the Pacific Coast. You will be listening to one of the most provocative men in America, certainly one of the great orators and writers in America. And he will be on Berserk Bobcat Saloon tonight at 11 p.m. Yes, that's Sir Mark, the Bloviating Zeppelin. You can also hear him on Monday nights here on the Exceptional Conservative Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Love you, Claudia. Glad to have you here and all the great people who are in our chat roll this particular evening. We welcome you always to come into the chat rolls. Listen, we're not the brightest people in the world as hosts. The brighter people happen to be in the chat rooms, and we love the conversations that go on and the information that's parlayed during the course of the time that people are listening to our programming. You can easily go to our chat room tonight by going to the TECS tab of the exceptionalconservativeshow.com and clicking on. And by doing so, you can scroll down just a little bit and you'll see this big old face right here. The Exceptional One, Kevin Clinton. And right next to it is our chat room. And so I would encourage you to stay tuned and listen to us. Also, my friends, get into the chat room. Great conversations, great enlightenment. Ladies and gentlemen, I love those Chinese sticks I had in my hand there. You know, I keep them there for a purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, Venezuela is in crises this particular night. I want you to also know that Cuba is in crisis too. But each of those countries are looked to as examples what's that? Lonnie Poindexter's in here too. Oh, look at all these great people in here. Listen, Claudia Chica's in there, Dave Milner's in there, Jason Miller, Lonnie Poindexter, and as well Mary Brockman, my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Also want to tell everyone, Red Nation Rising is at 2 a.m. on the Liberty Channel. I know some of you all are getting ready to go away in short time to listen to Captain America. God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Chopsticks. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make it very plain to you that Karl Marx is responsible for Venezuela. I know he's dead and gone. And you're probably saying, well, I mean, come on, what impact does Karl Marx have on the whole idea of socialism? I mean, he was a Marxist, right? Marxism. I want you all to know that Karl Marx had ambitions. His ambitions were to turn the world into a collective failure. Well, in his words, it would be a success. You see, he had the notion, the idea that if I tell people that it's greedy for a rich man to be rich and a poor man to be poor, then by all means, people will follow me. I expressed it in that particular fashion because I want you all to know that this battle of covetousness has been going on since the beginning of time. The concept that there is an individual who believes that they are obligated to receive what another man labors for. You see, Marx's concept of socialism was based on his concept of what man was. Marx made it very clear in his work that communism as such is not the aim of human development. Really, if your own thing is not the aim, then what is? Well, here is the aim: a resistance movement against the destruction of love and social reality. Can I put that in there for you? This is how Paul Tillich described Karl Marx. Karl Marx, you see, was part of the resistance. He was taken care of by a friend, so he never really had to work, and he published a couple of works, and then he spent the rest of his life promising that he would make it work and never did it. But Paul Tillich made it very clear that Karl Marx was in a resistance movement against the destruction of love and social reality. You see, love is based on redistribution. What? Wait a minute. Not an even exchange with God, but redistribution. You see, in order for me to love you and you to love me, then you must have my excess. Well, that sounds very reasonable. I mean, if I have 2 coats, I should be able to give you 1, right? And if you're hungry and I have an extra loaf of bread, I should be able to give you that, right? No. You see, we reason, the Marxists would, that yeah, we think individually you would, but what is the assurance that you will? I'm under the impression that unless you are forced, oh no, let's not use the term forced, unless we work as a collective body of one, you will not give up that second coat to someone who needs it. You will not give up the bread to someone who needs it. Jane, I love you. Jane, I love you. So really, Karl Marx is defining love, true love, as you redressing the wrong of poverty. And how do you redress it? By giving what you have. I wish it was giving. It's explained as giving, but really it's allowing what you have to be taken from you and given to someone else. Now, I want to ask you this question. If I put $1 million in the hands of a businessman, would he act in the same way as a man who was addicted to crack? Would the millionaire create jobs? Would the addict create jobs? Well, some of you all would be so cynical as to say, well, yeah, the addict's creating jobs. He's getting some money out to the drug dealers, and the drug dealers are running. But that is illicit and illegal and destructive to society, is it not? So how can that be love? The millionaire who is willing to take a risk with his own to create so that others may be able to benefit from all of that, is he not the better man? Well, not according to Karl Marx. I want you all to know that Karl Marx is responsible for Venezuela today. Marx expresses all the essential elements of socialism. This is what he says. First, man produces in an associated, not competitive way. Get rid of competition. He produces rationally and in an unalienated way, which means that he brings production under his control instead of being ruled by it as by some blind power, the invisible hand. Now, Karl Marx didn't say the invisible hand. But what would be the blind power? It would be the invisible hand, which Adam Smith was referring to God in that regard. Certainly, Karl Marx wouldn't want you to be under the blind power of God. You have to be reasonable. Who shall give you the seed to grow the food for sustenance for your family? Shall it be the father who goes out and works and buys the seed and farms it? Or shall it be the government that distributes a certain amount to each person as it sees fit? Well, Karl Marx says the latter. Capitalists say the former. Which one are you? We'll be right back with more of the best right after these messages.
The best late night conservative talk show in America, TECS Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than TECS Sean and TECS Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, TECS Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
The best late night.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, conservative by choice. It's Reverend Ralph Chittum's The Right Guy on the Exceptional Conservative Network from 4:05 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. The Right Guy on TECN.
I will never forget how often my dad would tell me about the importance of family. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards, on the base page from the Edwards Notebook. Of course, the family my dad spoke of during those wonder years of my childhood in Cleveland always consisted of a father, mother, and children, and of course, the family dog. Initially, God himself started with a family when Adam and Eve were brought together as one flesh, meaning husband and wife, in the Garden of Eden. Throughout the annals of history, great societies were populated with strong, intact families. One of the hallmarks of America has been close-knit families, where children were traditionally taught about and encouraged to do what is right, respect their elders, to refrain from destructive behavior, respect the rights and property of their neighbors, and to seek a relationship with God. As a result, America was a blessed, wealthy, and strong nation of liberty, where big government had no excuse to try and boss us around from cradle to grave. To make a long story short, without strong, intact families, America is weakened, making her vulnerable to destruction. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Ladies and gentlemen, just like that, time went so quickly on the New Day Black and Red on the Exceptional Conservative Network. I want to thank everybody for being here with us. As if you didn't have enough commercials, we're going to have to play a few more because I went past my break time. I want to thank all the great people at SHR Media Live for covering us tonight. And as well, want to encourage you all, stay around for the bloviatingzeppelin.net. I am telling you, well, Berserk Bobcat Salon. It's salon, man. It's not a saloon. No. No, it's saloon. And it's at 11 p.m. Eastern time. BZ will be with us. Ladies and gentlemen, stay right where you are. Get your soft drink on or whatever. And listen to all of these great advertisers on our network. When you support them, they support us. And guess what? We're able to give you the truth. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more of the best in urban conservative talk. New Day Black and Red is on right now.
Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on the Exceptional Conservative Network. We have a brand new show on at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We are bound to make you think. We are bound to make you see things differently. We are bound to push you into action for not only your community, but your country. That's The Willie Lawson Show on the Exceptional Conservative Network, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. See you there. Hi, my name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show.
Thank you for taking the call. And I really enjoy ICRN, your station, the station I listen to all day.
Okay, thanks, Dominique, for that.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We're using fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. Now, we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, good eating starts at 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. Make certain that you go there this weekend for some of the best food in America. And I sincerely mean that from the bottom of my heart. The great people, Christine, and also Derek Williams. They do such a wonderful job putting that food out for the American people, and it's really, really, really good food. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. Make certain that you get there tonight. If you can't get there tonight, then gosh darn it, go this weekend. Oh man, I have heard so many accolades for Melanie Collette. She did a wonderful job on the program last night. I think she did a good job interviewing Lonnie too. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. Did she do a good job with Lonnie? That's an important one right there. Yeah. We got to make certain that she did a good job. No, but she did a wonderful job, and we thank her so much for sitting in for me last night. Also want to thank Shannon Wright for her appearance. Also want to thank the Kraken himself, William. No. What is the Kraken? Oh my God! Oh man, I will come back to that name. It just escaped me. Lonnie Poindexter, and who is the Kraken? Oh my goodness! You know you're getting old when you it's right there on the tip of the tongue, people. It really is. Ken, she did a fine job with Lonnie. It was very cordial and informative. Marty McFly, Ken, thank you very much. Jason Miller. Ralph Chittum's, people. It's Ralph Chittum. Thank you very much. Mary Brockman, thank you. Dave Miller, thank you. Ralph J. Chittum Sr. I tell you. Lonnie said she did okay. Yeah, she did. She did. Yeah, that was a definite brain freeze. Definite brain freeze. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to get you very excited about something that's coming in the next few weeks. We are, and I've been working very hard on this, and I want you to know, running a company, you're not going to be perfect in everything. And I pray that I never be perfect, because then there would be no need for God. But we are preparing to go to internet TV. I want to thank Christopher Arps for Move On Up Today.tv. It's MOUtoday.tv. And I want to thank John over at EnitLive.tv. Those guys are working with me so that we come up with a answer for a problem that is in urban America. You see, the Exceptional Conservative Network's focus is to be the alternative media solution for urban America. Through our comprehensive media strategy, we are giving urban Americans a conservative viewpoint on news, commentary, and other cultural activities. We are unique in offering to a thirsty society the drink it covets, a media offering that is not tinged with progressive bias. Through our partnerships with multiple social media partners like SHR Media, HP Pundit Media, Red Nation Rising, monthly we reach over 250,000 persons and entities with high quality internet media productions. Our network divisions, TECN, TECN.biz, and TECN.sports, are competitive sources of news and information in a market that is monopolized by left-leaning producers. Consumers are turning off the monopoly fashion media desert barons of the left. This is evidenced by the loss of subscribers at ESPN, the loss of watchers at MSNBC and CNN. And the truth of the matter is, unless you're in an airport, you're not watching CNN. It's true. And the continual consolidation of newspaper organizations around the country. Consumers in the fluid media marketplace are not static. They are moving to alternative media solutions on the internet like TECN. We are the alternative media solution urban Americans desire and seek. We are the future of internet TV. So as chairman, I recognize the marketplace potential and the consumer demand for innovation and integrity. Our consumers appreciate accuracy, interaction, and mobility. They want no limits to information and certainty that their platform, mobile phone, personal computer, tablet, etc., will provide a comfortable environment for enlightenment and entertainment. My promise is that TECN will be the preferred provider in this ever innovative atmosphere. We will be the penultimate and most trusted media source in the global marketplace. And that's why on Sunday, July 2nd, 2017 at 9:05 a.m. Eastern Time, our network divisions TECN, TECN.biz, and TECN Sports will be converting to internet broadcasting. Internet TV broadcasting, that is. Our vessel is initlive.tv. Our partner is MoveOnUpToday.tv, which is better known as MOUToday.tv. We will transform the urban marketplace by providing a competitive source of news, commentary, and information that touches every major cultural institution, the individual, the family, governments, the economy, education, and the faith and religions. And we will make our major debut on MOUToday.tv at Freedom Fest 10 in Las Vegas in July 2017. Now, we're going to start a campaign to bring over 250,000 alternative media subscribers from the 250 major U.S. metropolitan cities to our network on MOUToday.tv. With a devoted international audience and over 1 billion impressions of online advertising per month, our internet TV broadcasting venue offers a tremendous revenue opportunity for the network and our show owners. We are the cutting edge, and we are on the cutting edge of media innovation. We are the alternative media solution. So this is what I want you all to know as we're moving forward. We are moving to internet television. And as we move to internet television, there's some things that we're going to leave behind. Now, I want you all to know, I'm not a dictator. And I know a lot of you all say, why are you even talking about this, Ken? Wait. You need to know because you all have been supporting me for 8 years. And now we're about to do something big. And as I put together my value proposition, my valuation proposal, thank you, Lonnie Poindexter, for your advice and consent on that one. I want to make certain that you all understand that we're in a growth position. Next week, I may be making the announcement that we're adding 2 new shows. I hope that we will be able to go live tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with the Ron Edwards Show. I am hoping that I'll be able to tell you that we will actually have a Spanish-speaking show on our network soon. We're growing. I had a meeting with a banker today who, you are a benevolent dictator. I am not. And the banker sat down with me and he said, Ken, from the way you were describing your network and based on what I have seen on what you're doing, I mean, I thought you had been in business for 4 or 5 years with this network. You literally did all of this in 6 months? God is doing a wonderful thing with this particular network. And I want you to be a part of it. I really need you to be a part of it. And you all know I spoke earlier this week about a young woman who I was attempting to recruit to come on to the network and host her own show. And she told me, after spending many hours writing on Facebook, that she has to get paid for her political commentary. You're right, Dave Miller. Ken's network, powered by God. If it were not for God, where would I be? Wouldn't happen. And so one of the things is, in our particular industry, and let me just be real with you. We got to go to a break. When I come back, I'm going to be very real with you, and then we're going to continue talking about socialism in Venezuela and why we should all be concerned.
Meet Jason. He was really excited to start growing his business with social media until he realized how complex and time-consuming social media can be. It's difficult to manage multiple social networks and accounts. It's hard to monitor what's happening on social media, follow discussions, and engage with new followers. It's time consuming to publish updates throughout the day, track and analyze how effective posts are, respond to fans and followers in a timely manner, and gain new customers. The list seems to go on and on. Jason quickly becomes discouraged. How could he ever do all of this and still run a business? He was ready to give up on social media until he found eClincher, the easiest way to manage social media. Jason was amazed how straightforward and simple it is to use eClincher. With eClincher, Jason is now able to leverage the power of social media without having to dedicate several hours a day. He can easily organize all his social media accounts in one place, efficiently plan and schedule his posts ahead of time, engage with his followers, understand the effectiveness of his efforts with powerful analytics, find new customers, and much more. In order to tell your business's story, simplify the process of managing your social media, and analyze results, sign up with eClincher today.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to put out this disclaimer. As a Southern gentleman, I got to make certain that all legal preparations have been aspired to in terms of the presentation of articles of fact on our program. There's an article of fact that there's a certain little lady that happens to have a program on our network, and she's very known to be slightly attractive. And as such, most men will need to have cigars or cigarettes prepared along with lighter fluid and their own lighter. And please head on to the front porch after. I'm quite certain that you may have heard there were certain quid pro quo are moving towards before the actual commercial. But you will have to wait until the commercial ends and then move towards the front porch to smoke your cigarette. Coming up now, that commercial that we love so much. And I must disclaim because Mama might be listening.
Money Talk with Melanie is a lively discussion of global, domestic, and kitchen table financial topics. Join your business diva, Melanie Collette, as I speak with respected entrepreneurs, CEOs, authors, and politicians as we explore today's fiscal environment. Money Talk with Melanie airs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network. Remember, this is important because it's your money.
Dave, did I do that all right? I hope I did that all right. I hope that we will not be litigated because we didn't meet the. Can Love you, Lottie. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We have to protect ourselves at all costs. You know what I'm saying, brother? Sometimes people get a little silly in their head. They have to go down to the courts and do something to you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. You got to protect yourself. And she don't want your money. Excuse me, Jason? Jason Miller, are you clear? Clear? A woman not wanting your money? What country do you live in? No, I'll send all letters to Shannon Wright. There you go. I made that comment. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to go back to what I was saying regarding our network and had a great conversation this morning. Had a great lunch with a banker who was just yeah, you've been watching too many Indian films. I'm telling you. Hey, I'm telling you. And he was just uniquely impressed. In 6 months, what we've been able to do with this network in growing we started off with just my show, and then we added Shannon and Mike, and then we added Ralph and Lonnie, and then we added Melanie and Willie, and now we got Perry Drake and Ron Edwards, and of course Leslie on Sunday mornings is blowing it out. I'm telling you, we're growing by leaps and bounds, and people are looking and they're saying, wow, this is not supposed to happen. Not in Washington, D.C. But we have a conservative format that's reaching the marketplace. And quite frankly, I'm encouraging advertisers and sponsors to begin taking a solid look at TECN, TECN.biz, TECN.sports. Because we will eventually have, starting in July, over 1 billion impressions. And that's online advertising going on every single month. That means you get in front of the face of hundreds of thousands of people on every show. And even when your show is over, the advertisements still go on that network. Now, why is that important when it comes to bloggerinos, those Facebook aficionados, those geniuses of political sway on Twitter? Because you have been trained by Twitter and by Facebook and by Instagram and by all the others, Snapchat and everyone. You've been trained to give out your content for free. And then you've been told by those who have a great love and affinity for those social medias that you shouldn't even try marketing your own product. You shouldn't even worry about creating your own brand. Just go to Facebook and put yourself out there. And then they have the Facebook TV, and people are supposed to watch you. And somehow having 4,000 people watch you is a wonderful thing. But who got the advertising dollar out of that? See, I'm talking about capitalism here. Now, a lot of people are thinking, Ken, you're going to internet TV. Why should I pay for that? Well, first and foremost, I am far more worth what you will be paying. Can I really be bold? The value of listening to this program is immense. It really is, in terms of being able to get a point of view that's not in the media melting pot called mainstream. So that you get a point of view. And then on top of that, all of the other contributors to our programs, all of those great guests that come on our programs, you will be able to get without the intervention of Facebook putting me in jail, coming directly to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're probably thinking it's going to cost you $100 a month to switch over to internet TV to listen to Ken, whether I'm in the car or on my job or my phone or wherever I am. I'll be able to watch this particular program. You're probably thinking it's going to cost $100 a month. It's really not. For $10 a month, you'll be on the premium channel at moutoday.tv, and you'll be able to watch some of the great commentators from TECN. Now, I am not a dictator. I'm not going to make every show go with me in that particular capacity. Not going to do it. Just not going to do it. That's not fair. That's not capitalism. So SHR will still be in existence, and they will be behind, and some of them will be able to do Facebook and everything else, and that's wonderful. Because I want you all to have access to quality programming. But here's something that I'm really concerned about. Even our hosts who believe in capitalism, who believe in constitutionalism, who believe in Christianity, who believe in conservatism, who believe in personal sovereignty, have been literally entrapped with the belief system that it's wrong for them to profit from their ideas. Even in the articles of the U.S. Constitution, Congress created a patent office, patent and trademark office, so that your ideas, which are original and unique, will be protected. I know when people, and Mary will tell you, people were laughing at me when I said that I'm going to trademark the Exceptional Conservative Show. Oh, why you going to do that? Ah, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy. How many shows in the conservative marketplace can you count on one hand that are trademarked? Building a brand is very important. Protecting the ideas are very important. And people being able to profit from their ideas is very important. I want you all to understand that what I'm doing with this network is changing the mindsets of even the most conservative people today. Now, they will not write books about me in the future. But what I'm saying to you right now is that that person who spent 8 hours doing show prep to be on the air to deliver that idea to you, is that person not worthy of the same as someone who works at a major Fox News or whatever that walks in, puts their purse down, sits in front of a screen, and then begins to read everything in front of them? Why would you pay a reader $1 million? Why can't show hosts who reach equally, if not more people on rebroadcasts, on simulcasts, and then now eventually live TV to the world, why can't they profit as well? And so I want you to know that for those who have shows on my network, one of the major reasons why they grow, and I guess this is a conversation about capitalism in the sense of why it works. Lonnie calls me a benevolent dictator, and I'll take that because I came up under Rick Trader. But unlike other networks, on this network, all of my hosts own their own shows. They don't pay me to be on the network. And I don't charge them to be on the network. All of them own their own material and content. Why is that important? It's important because I'm taking the risk on the vessel that they're using. They're taking a risk on the seat that they're in that vessel on. Every dollar of advertising that my owners make is theirs. I take no cut off of any of that. I don't. One of them made a remark of after meeting Ken, really on the seriously, all the money we make is ours. What if I send you a cut? I will probably send it back to you. And I really believe this with all of my heart. To my wife's disdain at times, that God will provide for my every need. I have always believed that with all of my heart and with all of my soul. And when you look at me, the big man that I am, I can prove to you that God will take care of every need that you have. Are there going to be desert times? Yeah. Are there going to be prosperous, fruitful jungle times? Yeah. But nevertheless, in either time or other time, God always provides for me. Provides for me so much that I believe that you can keep yours. And on top of that, whatever our network makes, a portion of that goes back to our show host owners. Now, people saying, well, wait, kid, there has to be a catch. Yeah, here's the catch for our network. And this is why capitalism works. You have to be exceptional. When she went on last night at 9:05, she proved how exceptional she was. She took my show, and I know that she was as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room filled with rockers. But Melanie Collette did a wonderful job. The banker who sat with me was completely impressed with the fact that none of the artists that we have on our network, except for Willie Lawson and myself, had any experience. Oh, and Leslie had any experience in broadcasting in terms of their own show. Why? Because I believe in the Berry Gordy philosophy. I think you need to groom people. People who are not going to come in and tell you, well, this is what we did at CBS, and this is what we did. Listen, you all suck there. I don't need those ideas. Let me tell you what God's saying to do. And these men and women sacrifice their time and their efforts. Trust me. All of us are in a financial situation where we would love to be making more money. But God somehow has us in this holding position in which we are to delve into his works, in the works of others, and present to you their ideas. So I don't need any heavyweights to come to my network. We're grooming heavyweight champions. Shannon and Mike in the morning. You got during the noonday hour, before the noonday hour, you got Perry Drake. And ladies and gentlemen, these people are good at what they do. Very, very good. And they spend time doing the research to make it happen. Why is that important? Because in urban America, the only thing that you hear in terms of news, information, and commentary, the NIC, is a bias towards the left, a bias towards socialism, a bias towards Venezuelanism. The bias that says, quite frankly, that unless you are with us in propaganda, then you can't be news. I think we've proven otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in capitalism, and I will believe in capitalism to the day I die. I believe in it so much that I'm willing to take a risk financially that might be to my destruction. But I'm willing to take that risk because I can see the good at the very end of all of this. The good at the very end of this is not having a Mercedes in the garage and a Harley Davidson as well. The reward is not having a 5 bathroom home with 10 bedrooms. The reward is not eating caviar and steak. The reward is being able to grow people into the success that God intended them to be. Am I asking a lot for my artists? Yeah, they'll tell you that I am. Can I put Melanie Collette up against Maria Bartiromo someday? Yeah, I probably will. And guess what? Melanie Collette will win. Now, I have nothing against Maria Bartiromo. I'm a great fan of hers. But guess what? It's time for artists who are normally blocked off of the airwaves by Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, and Martha Van Ary. All those, you can't get on your local AM stations. And even your FM stations, which are most likely biased to the left, are not going to ask you to come on either. So where are we to get great new talent, grow them, and make them great? And then give them the opportunity to prosper in their own business. Where are we going to get that? You're not going to get it on your local AM station. They're not going to take a risk on you. Please. So where is it going to come from? It's not going to come from your college radio station. I remember college radio. If you were a liberal, if you were a conservative in college radio, not only were you an oddity, but you were not on the air either. So where's that training going to come from? Well, there will always be a SHR Media, a place where people can apply their skills and get the information out to whomever they wish. But just like Fox News has its own radio station, it also has its own TV station. And the content that's on the radio is not the same content that's on the television. So what I'm going to do in my network is I'm going to make certain that the content that comes on is original and unique and protected. You're not going to find it on Facebook. You're not going to find it on Instagram. You're not going to find it on other places, rebroadcasted and simulcast. You're going to have to come to TECN TV, TECN Internet TV. Now, why is that? Did you know that they spent, or plan to spend just this year, $22 billion in America for just sponsorships? They spent over $300 million on election night coverage for advertising. Yet, the people that called the election right, unbiased, wasn't following the polls, just going directly to the grassroots, didn't make a single cent. You know why? Because they cared more about giving you the truth. And those that could have funded them did not. I believe that we have created a conservative network that will soon be very competitive with any other network brand out there. I am very proud of the work that we've done to make that happen. I'm thankful that God has lent me the inspiration to do it. Are we up against the wall on a lot of things? Yeah, we are. Do I sweat and tremble at times? Yeah, I do. But there is one scripture that gives me an assurance that none other can possibly give. For God, nothing is impossible. If I am His, and I believe, and I apply, what was not impossible for Fox News and Rupert Murdoch will also not be impossible for me. God leads, God guides, and God will get the glory. We'll be right back after these messages.
You're listening to The Exceptional Conservative Show at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Shekinah Ranch is involved in helping youth through the snags along the pathway to adulthood. The last 8 years have created greater challenges. Having a president to parade perversion to our youth has generated the need for us to ramp up our character learning 100-fold. Today's youth are confused. Our goal is to give them a fresh understanding of creation, moral clarity, respect for authority. In short, restore absolutes and boundaries. Boys are born boys and girls are born girls. God's design. Right is right even when no one else is doing it. The Exceptional Conservative Network is underway to raise $10,000 to help advance this mission. Together, let's reverse the confusion aimed at our youth. Don't be a spectator. Go to our donation portal and make your financial contribution. Do it now. Your gift goes towards helping youth get clarity, moral clarity. Thank you.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
Now, Brownells, we know
From
you
the
have
war
only
front
one shot.
to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red. From the war.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back right after this commercial.
Hello, this is Leslie Ann Stoffel with The Real Clear Israel. Join me every Sunday morning at 10:05 Eastern Time on the Exceptional Conservative Network, where we'll be discussing Israel with guests from Israel and around the world.
That's The Real Clear Israel, 10:05, Sunday, on the Exceptional Conservative Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, Donovan Larkins is the founder and president of Shekinah Ranch Youth Foundation, offers a sincere opportunity for you to protect children from molestation and sexual abuse and help abused children receive their healing. In addition, Pastor Larkins is joining forces with the Exceptional Conservative Network to raise awareness of the growing crisis of unresolved homicides, missing persons, and sex trafficking in urban America. Help us raise $10,000 to care for over 300 abused children at Shekinah Ranch this summer and put an end to the grief and unnecessary loss of life, unresolved homicides, missing persons, and sex trafficking. Go to the TECN homepage at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com and donate today. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to bring to your attention that there is talk of, and I want to add that to the chat room for you all, there's talk of a bookstore being opened in Southeast Washington, D.C. Why is that bookstore so important? Well, besides the fact that you're going to give the opportunity for young people to have access to books and reading, it will be named after my murdered daughter, Shanice Milton. It will be called the Shanice Milton Community Bookstore in Old Anacostia. And so I am ever so thankful of the great people at React Radio. I just want to tell React Radio folk, I know we are on opposite polar. I mean, you are as far to the left as I am to the right. But there's something about God being able to bring people of great partisanship together for the collective good. And I don't speak of the collective good being socialism, but the collective good being that of the American way. And I want to explain to you in Thanksgiving my appreciation to React Radio and my hopes of success that the bookstore will be officially open by the end of the year. There will be an event in Washington, D.C. on the 27th, and I will be giving you more details of that as we go on. But I just want to say to you, I'm ever so thankful and very appreciative of the fact that they're going to do that for my daughter. Greatly appreciate. What exactly is the American way? Well, if you ask people exactly what the American way is, for most of my lifetime, it was always explained to be the two cars, the white picket fence, and that you have all that you need according to your own will. More than enough, too much overflow. Well, I want to give you what William Herberg, a Protestant who wrote Protestant Catholic Jew, an essay in American religious sociology. I want to give you what he said the American way is. The American way of life is individualistic, dynamic, and pragmatic. It affirms the supreme value and dignity of the individual. It stresses incessant activity on his part, for he is never to rest, but is always to be striving to get ahead. It defines an ethic of self-reliance, merit, and character, and judges. For all you people out there who tell folk God don't want you to judge, not true. And judges by achievement. Deeds, not creeds, are what count. The American way of life is humanitarian, forward-looking, optimistic. Americans are easily the most generous and philanthropic people in the world in terms of their ready and unstinting response to suffering anywhere on the globe. The American believes in progress, in self-improvement, and quite fanatically in education. But above all, the American is idealistic. Americans cannot go on making money or achieving worldly success simply on its own merits. Such materialistic things must, in the American mind, be justified in higher terms, in terms of service or stewardship or general welfare. And because they are so idealistic, Americans tend to be moralistic. They are inclined to see all issues as plain and simple, black and white, issues of morality. Can I tell you the real truth about Karl Marx and the socialists that are tearing up Venezuela, that are tearing up Cuba, that are tearing up Northern Africa, that are tearing up Europe, that are tearing up Australia, that are tearing up, if they can, China, and are tearing up the very streets of Ferguson and St. Louis and Milwaukee and Baltimore and Chicago? Can I tell you about those socialists? They don't care about the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is what they care about. They care about being covetous. You see, to covet is to long after, to try to gain. According to the King James Dictionary, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. That's 1 Timothy 6:10. There is a sense that greed, in their definition, is them not having what you got. Remember the concept of window shopping? That you were supposed to go past the windows and look at how they were so finely, divinely put together. And as you're walking through, you can see that suit or you can see that dress and you can imagine yourself in that dress. You may not have enough money to go into the store. Not that there is an admission price, but you know if you have to ask what the price is, you can't afford to be in there. So the idea was, in terms of window shopping, that you would look at that window and say, I want to be that person right there, or at least that dummy right there. And I want to have what that dummy has on. See, but that was window dressing for fashion. There are those who are window dressing for your very soul. You see, they don't believe that God granted you the talent or the gifts to be successful. You see, you're rich, and my people were oppressed. You see, you're rich, and quite frankly, I don't think you deserve it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is covetousness. Covetousness is to fix a desire upon, to long for, to lust after, to covet. Coveting money and apparel. But there's a problem with coveting. The problem with coveting is, first and foremost, you begin to see people as property. People as property are interchangeable at all times. You can get something off of somebody, even if they're worth nothing to you. So somehow, you no longer see the person as a human being, you see them as a thing. And not only a thing, but a commodity. And as a result of them doing something with themselves, you're supposed to get the return on the investment. You're supposed to be able to make it off of what they did. Because what they did was sinful. They meritoriously and moralistically got up in the morning at 6 a.m., brushed their teeth, washed their faces, washed their hair, got themselves together, had their breakfast, got out the door at 6:30, got the 6:35 bus to the 6:45 train, and got to work on time by 7:05. Somehow you're jealous of the fact that they got up and did all that, and they owe you something for making you look so bad, for making you feel a certain way, making me feel unsafe. And then how dare they? How dare they make more money than me? I mean, I flip burgers. Why does the doctor make more than me? Because the doctor can't be replaced with a kiosk. Can I make it very simple for you? I want to go over some scriptures with you very quickly as we look at a spiritual concept here in terms of lust. And what the real problem in America is, it's sin. In Romans 7, verse 7, it says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law. For I had not known lust, except the law has said, thou shalt not covet. Is that not one of God's laws? Yes. But if I lust after someone's wealth, collectively, I shortchange the meritorious result of my efforts. You know, it's wonderful. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I know that I have. There have been individuals who have come into my life who have said, guess what? You know, I'm having a real tough time here, man. You know what I'm saying? You mind if I sit down at your desk and talk to you, knowing that I got work to do, man? No, man, but don't you think that, and I love the way they phrase this when they're having a human resources situation. Don't you think that we should get paid a whole lot more? Don't you think that we should get more benefits? Don't you think that we should get more security? When you drive in the morning and you park your car and you look at the owner's car, don't the owner's car look better than our car? Well, yeah, it does. Well, don't you think he's greedy then? No, I just think he makes more money. Well, don't you think it's wrong for him to make more money? No, he made the investment. He made the risk. Oh, see, you a chump. You see, what we need is to get ourselves together as a union, and then make certain that all of us get paid the right amount of money. Well, what exactly is the right amount of money, my friend? More than what we're making right now? Are there things you can do right now, my friend, to make more than what you're making right now? I guess so. Well, why don't you do those things? Because that's hard, man. That's our problem in America. We have been promised entitlement, welfare, Medicaid, Medicare. When Medicare and Medicaid got started, they were really for the sickest and the weakest. Now it's set up so you can take advantage of it because you feel like you're the sickest or the weakest. We'll be right back, right after these messages.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to ossicles near you. Excelsior.
There are only 2 things you should be doing weeknights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and one of them is legal in 58 states. So do the other one. Listen live to the Exceptional Conservative Show with Ken McClinton, Monday through Wednesday at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time on SHR Media and at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. The Exceptional Conservative Show, bringing the sexy back to late night conservative talk.
I love that groove. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to New Day Black and Red. So glad you were here tonight. Our prayers continually go out to Dan the Man Butcher, our friend, and as well to the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones. Listen, coming up in just a few moments, stay tuned. Go to shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com. Go there right now and get prepared for one of the best programs in America. It's called Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Yes, I got it right for it. Now, for all of you who have been listening tonight, I want you to understand that putting together this network has challenged me like nothing else. All the resources you need, all the time that you spend, all the grooming that you do, it's been like nothing else. But the one thing I can safely say is this: God has blessed us beyond what we can even ask or think. I'm not covetous of anything that my hosts have, and I know that they're not covetous of the owner. But what we do have is an ambition that all of us prosper in the Lord. May you take that ambition with you wherever you go from now on. Without a shadow of a doubt, I want you to remember just this one thing. God bless America. It's time for America to bless God. We'll see you next week.